Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be starting a new season. We're finally in game week. Talked to the guys on Saturday. We had practice Saturday morning, and then gave them Sunday off and get back into our routine today. I know it's a change this year. We're doing this on Monday rather than Tuesday, and it helps us for sure as coaches doing it this way. I don't know if it affects you guys a whole lot, but it does help us. So we'll have a normal Monday practice and have a normal week. We've got some guys banged up a little bit that nobody's been actually ruled out, but we have a couple of guys that we'll have to watch throughout the week and see if they progress well enough to play, which we hope that they do. We're excited about the opportunity, getting a really good UT Martin team in here. Coach Simpson's done a great job. He's been there a long time, and they have a great system, and he does a really good job of getting those guys to play within their schemes offensively and defensively. They've won their league 3 straight years. As you guys know, that's my background, and I know how good the football is, and our guys are going to know how good the football is as well. So we'll finish our continued prep work the next few days and then be ready to roll on Saturday.
Chris, starting game one at quarterback's a little bit different than what Avery experienced last season. What advice do you have for him as he's, taking on this new challenge?
Yeah, just be him, be himself. We have a lot of guys around him that can make plays at all those different skill positions, and I don't think he's going to be nervous. That's just not his nature. I think he's going to be very confident, but we just want him to play within himself and make the plays that he's capable of making, and we know he's going to make a few that are going to be kind of off script because that's what he excels at. But I'm excited to see him, run the show.
Just looking at your depth chart here, you got quite a bit of star power at both return spots, kick return and punt return. How have they looked in practice? Have they been game breakers?
Yeah, we're going to kind of see how it goes with practice this week, but we feel comfortable really with Dylan or Sterling back there on punts. Probably see both of them back there at some point. We've kind of pushed the envelope with Dylan and with Jace and with Keegan on kick returns. I'm not sure which way it'll go on Saturday, but maybe everybody would get a shot back there. We do like the ability. We've got a number of skill guys that we need to get the ball in their hands, and that's an opportunity for them to do that. So we'll just see how it plays out this week.
Exiting the preseason practices, what did you feel like was the strength for you guys on each side of the ball?
What I thought going in on defense, which is veteran group, a lot of guys on both sides of the ball or on all 3 levels of that defense that have played an awful lot of football, and us continuing to try to provide depth in those 3 positions of D-line, linebacker, and secondary. So I think the strength on defense is just the veteran people we have there. Offensively, skill. We've got running backs, we've got receivers that can make big time plays, and we've got to find ways to get guys touches. But I've been pleased each day that there's been somebody else in the wide receiver crew that has stepped up. There's been a bunch of running backs that have made plays and tight ends as well. So we're gonna run into some problems too. We're gonna have some adversity on Saturday, and we've got to be able to withstand it and be able to grow from it.
And what has Damian Elalio kind of proven and showed to kind of get the nod on the depth chart right now?
Probably an entire body of work, and I think he's one of our top leaders. He wasn't elected captain, but he received a bunch of votes like a lot of other guys did. We had a lot of guys get votes, but he's just been a really good leader on that side of the ball, and he's been a consistent player at the nose position, and both he and Uso are going to play a lot of football for us.
Coach, UT Martin has won, I think, 3 straight conference championships, and they've sort of established themselves as one of the better FCS teams. This year in particular, returned a few guys on offense that helped them last year. What stands out about that offense, and what challenges do they present?
Well, Dent's a really good quarterback that played a lot of football for him. When you have a returning quarterback, it's always a bright thing. And then they've got a number of interior offensive linemen that have played a lot of football. They've got so many older guys, juniors and seniors, that have played a lot of football on the offensive side. They've got a bunch of wide receivers that can make plays. Got a kick returner that's an exceptionally talented guy that's a wide receiver for them. So I think the fact that they aren't just, boy, you got to stop the run or you got to stop the RPO or pass game, they do both equally well, and they're really balanced. So for us defensively, it's going to be a big challenge. They're a really good offense.
Coach, how hard is it to manage one of these games? I mean, obviously, you need to win, but you probably want to see a lot of players. And is it kind of hard to balance that out, particularly in the first half?
Well, it's always tough to balance the first game because you just sometimes you don't know because you haven't had as many live situations, whether it's tackling or different things that live special teams that you don't do a lot of. We go really hard, but we don't always go to the ground. So, yeah, it is a balancing act. Obviously, we've got to put our best foot forward to have an opportunity to win the football game and play the guys that have given ourselves the best chance to be successful. And we don't talk much about, well, what if we I've been there. I've been on the other side of this thing when I know that's been talked about, and then you end up getting beat by the FCS program. And this is a really good football team that we've got to play really well on both sides of the ball with some inexperienced guys getting their first snaps. And then, like we've talked all fall camp and really all summer, our stars got to be stars. You know, if you're a guy that's played 2 or 3 years of football, step up and show people you've played 2 or 3 years of football and be the dude, be the guy.
Every team's different. Locker room's different, talent's different. But what does this team do, maybe you think can do better than last year's team?
Hopefully we can be more explosive on offense. That would be one thing that we talk about and kind of tease the offensive staff of, you got to call another couple plays because we got pushed out at the 5 or got tackled from behind at the 6 or didn't get it in. We've had the ability with a number of skill kids to hit some home runs, and now we can't just take home run shots. We've got to be able to get the ball in space to some of these guys quickly and let them make some plays and maybe try to hit a home run. So I think we can be more explosive. And then on defense, I hope we can eliminate some of the explosive plays. And that's the thing that probably makes me most concerned is you can do everything you want, but if you cannot stop the explosive play, people are going to, get quick scores and stay with great momentum. And that's something that we've made a point about because of our offense having such explosive players. We go good on good an awful lot. And if they're getting explosive plays on our first-team defense, that's concerning. So we've got to be able to get more explosive plays and eliminate them.
You talked about being a veteran team. I see you have several redshirt freshmen on your two deep, but do you anticipate any true freshmen playing a role this year?
Yeah, we probably do. Probably not ready to talk about those guys yet because I don't know who will, but I think you hit it on the head, Arnie. We've got the redshirt freshman class or true sophomore class when you look at, Jace and Avery and Asa, some of the guys that played some for us, Austin Romaine. I mean, that was a really good class, and you're going to see a lot of guys that were redshirted last year that you probably didn't see very much other than a game or two be real factors this year. Whether it's Wesley Fair, Jack Fabris, Mikey Bergeron as examples on defense and a number of guys on offense that we were really impressed with this class that we were able to redshirt a bunch of those guys, but they're going to have to be a factor for us this year for us to be successful.
How have you seen the offensive line kind of gel into a new unit over fall camp?
Yeah, it's we have some experience there with Carver and Hadley and TP playing a lot of football for us. Easton Kilty's played a lot of football, not for us, but he's played a lot of football. Andrew Linegang been here a long time and done some really good things, and I'm excited because Liney's stepped up in a big role. Sam Hecht, he's filling some big shoes with what we lost at center over the last couple centers we've had in Gilly and Noah, but he's doing a really good job. It's the next group. It's Pastori, it's Capria, it's Alex Key, it's Beckwith. Those are the guys that we're continuing to push because we're going to need those guys. And we're probably in the 7 or 8 deep right now, but we need to push that closer to 9. And I don't know if Coach Riley's ready to get all the way to 9 deep, but we feel like we're going to be able to play 7 or 8 guys, and that's something that I'm excited about with Drew Little being on the sideline to help us rotate some guys.
And then I know we talked about a bunch of the defensive ends throughout fall camp, but one guy that I feel like didn't get talked about too much is Travis Bates.
Yeah.
What's impressed you since he got on campus?
Work ethic and just, blue-collar kid that goes to battle every day. He's going to play a lot for us. He's battling with stuff, and we need to keep stuff healthy for the long haul. So Travis is going to play some plays there. You're going to see a lot of defensive linemen play, and I'm excited because we've always had good depth there. And this year at the defensive end spot, we have great depth there, and we wouldn't miss a beat by playing 6 or 7 guys there. Maybe some have a different skill set than others, but I like what we have there, and we've got to find ways to get multiple of those guys on the field, and we're working on that with different packages right now.
Coach, you, I think at the beginning of fall camp, mentioned the quarterback or cornerback 4 battle and where that sort of stood at that point. Where does that stand now, and how comfortable are you with those guys fighting for that spot?
Yeah, at corner, Jacob Parrish and Keenan Garber, you feel really comfortable. They've played a lot of football, and we've talked about those guys a lot. They're all conference players. Justice James has really had a good fall camp. Jordan Dunbar, a transfer, has started to emerge as a guy that we think we can count on defense as well as special teams. Donovan McIntosh is a guy that's made a lot of plays as another corner. So we've got a number of guys there. A lot of them may be special teams guys and give a blow to Keenan and Jacob, but we're continuing to do a good job of developing depth there.
In terms of Avery Johnson, this is his first start at home. How do you sort of manage those beginning reps for him, just to sort of make sure that he's as comfortable as can be for the beginning?
Yeah. If you know Avery, I'm not worried about how I manage things. Cut the kid loose, let him go play. The kid's really good. And so I'm not managing anything. I'm going to encourage him, tell him I love him, tell him how much I believe in him, and go play. Go do what you do. You've been waiting for this opportunity, and he'll make plays within himself. But, man, I'm as excited as you guys are.
Question about another really good guy, Jace. When he first came on campus, Coach, when did you realize that he could be a player for you?
Yeah, he was an early enrollee, so we saw a lot of things out of him in spring ball. It was just trying to simplify some of the things game plan-wise. So because he's got unbelievable speed and ability to be elusive, and he's gotten so much stronger. He's gotten better at running routes. He and Avery have a really good chemistry. They throw the ball around a lot to each other. He's a guy that we missed him this last spring. He was out with an injury, and probably started more full go in July. And you've seen him get stronger and more confident. He's had a really good fall camp, and he's a guy that we're talking about of one of those explosive guys that could be a home run guy. And so I'm excited because Jace is playing really well and playing really fast. I think he feels healthy, and I'm excited to see what he's going to show everybody.
How have you seen maybe the chemistry with Avery go even higher than a year ago?
Well, they missed a lot of time in the spring, so that sets you back a little bit. It just you need to be around each other throwing the ball all the time, and now we've been able to get back into that in fall camp, and those guys have kind of been in sync ever since they've been here. They live together, and they do a lot of things together, and they know each other's traits, and so he's continued to grow and get better.
Have you seen Taquan Roberson help out the QB room?
Experience. He's played. He was learning our offense, and he's made some really good strides from obviously practice 1 to where we're at now. And I like the fact that he's continued to grow and get better. And he knew when he came in here, we need you to perform. We need you to elevate Avery. We need you to elevate Knuth. We need you to do those things. And we knew it wasn't going to be something overnight because our offense is probably a little bit more complex from what he's done. I don't know that, but I can just tell because of all the terminology we have. And the last few weeks, he's played really well. On the same respect, I think Jacob Knuth's played really well. We know who our first one is in Avery, and we're still battling for that second spot right now. We've put both of them with the ones at different times to give Avery a rest and to push those guys with the starting offense, and they've both excelled. And then we've split the reps with the twos. And it's a conversation that Coach Wells and I'll have at the end of the week of which guy will go in, but they're both playing really well right now.
I also want to ask, with Hadley Panzer, have you seen him make a jump in any way with the extra playing time, extra leadership that's available there?
Yeah,
now?
I think he learned from the best in the last few years of Beebs and KT, and I thought those two and Gilly, those guys were phenomenal leaders. And he learned from those guys, and they pass it on that, hey, you've got to be a guy. He and Carver and TP have really stepped up. They're the ones that have the most experience, but they've really stepped up in their leadership role. Hadley was voted a captain by his peers, so he's got to have a big voice. And sometimes, and I'll have a captain's meeting later on, but that voice isn't when things are going well. That voice is when you're having adversity. And they chose you to be one of those guys that they look to when we have adversity. And so, but Hadley is one of my favorite kids. He loves playing this game of football. He is appreciative of everything that he's been able to do at Kansas State and what Kansas State has done for him. And so you just can't do anything but love Hadley. That kid is a kid that loves ball.
I was going to ask you about an offensive lineman too. I kind of feel like Kilty sometimes gets maybe not talked about enough. How consistent has he been learning what he's doing and fitting in?
Yeah, really consistent. We were fortunate to get him here in the spring so he could learn what we were doing. And there's some differences, and a lot of it is terminology. But what's helped Easton Kilty is going against Big 12 caliber players every snap of practice. I mean, there's not a drop off from our first one to our sixth one as far as the ability to pass rush. And Mott's a little bit more moxie than some of the guys because Mott's played a ton of football. But man, you get Jordan Allen off the edge, and you get Toby off the edge, and you get Ryan Davis coming at you. I mean, we've really tested Easton with all these defensive ends that can make plays, and he's gotten better because of it. And he doesn't say a whole lot, but I think he's going to be a real stable force for us at tackle and play a lot for us.
We saw what Garrett Oakley could be, at least in small doses last year, but better towards the end. After him, how are you feeling about the tight end position now?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Wyatt. The guy that has jumped at us this year is Braden Lofton. He's made play after play, and not only in the pass game but in the run game. He's really done a nice job of getting that extra weight, that extra strength, so he can be a point of attack guy. But he's made just a ton of plays in the pass game, and he's got the chemistry with all those quarterbacks, knows how to get open, knows how to find those seams, hasn't played much for us. And so there's a guy one of those we were talking about that we're counting on that hasn't played very much but has shown us great things. Swanee's been consistent as he always is, and Will's going to play a bunch of football for us and knows our offense better than any of the tight ends do. But Braden's the one that has really stepped up. Sometimes we've held Oak back a little bit to make sure he stays healthy, and really Braden's the one that's been a beneficiary of it.
Coach, coming off Ace's injury last year, how ready is he to back up Dez?
Yeah, he's ready. He really took care of his body and got his knee back, and we noticed that quickly in fall camp when we didn't know how much he'd be limited, and with his hard work with the training staff, they cut him loose and allowed him to go play. And he's been really good. Like I said, we moved him from Will Backer to Sam Backer. We think that maybe is a little bit more natural position, although he could play Will if we asked him to. We've pressed him more on special teams right now because of his ability to run, get off blocks, and he's mature beyond his years. He's going to play a ton of football for us, and we're excited about him because he's another one of that group in that redshirt freshman class that is really talented.
So 2 weeks ago, the defensive players came in here and they bragged about how many turnovers they were forcing. So over the last couple of weeks, Has it been that kind of story, or is the offense doing a good job of taking care of the football? How good of a battle has that been?
Yeah, it's been good. We've kind of switched a little bit. We still do good on good, but we're putting in some scout work now a little bit and doing more situations. I think it's been great for both sides. I think there's some times where they've gotten behind the DBs, which has been good for us to see offensively that we can run by some fast guys. I don't think we've had as many turnovers as they'd gotten that week of whatever fall practice or fall camp that was when they were getting them in bunches, which is awesome to see. And the key to success is pretty simple. Is turnover margin, can't give it away, and you got to be able to take it from them, and then explosive plays. You got to be able to prevent them, and you got to be able to get them. If you can win those two categories, you have a really good chance to be successful.
This is your going to be your 6th year at K-State.
Hard to believe.
Yeah. Are you just still as excited for the season to start? Ready to get going and playing, or is it kind of a routine that you have in place?
It gets quicker and quicker, and it comes faster and faster. And we all like fall camp because it's football, and that's awesome. And then all of a sudden you get to when school starts, and then you kind of get a lull. And last week was a little bit of a lull. We had some good practices. We had some practices that I thought were just okay. And then today we better be amped up a little bit, because it is game week, and the guys know it. And they had a workout with True this morning, and True said they came in and got their work done. And yeah, I'm excited. I always am this time of year when it's time to go play games. You're busier, obviously, with different responsibilities that you didn't have during fall camp, and now all of a sudden I've been in more meetings today probably than I care to be in. But it's that time of year, and we're excited to get going.
Did you watch the Ireland game?
We had practice, so I was able to watch the fourth quarter, and I thought it looked I was trying to figure out everything, not necessarily the game. I was trying to find the surroundings and the stands and the sidelines and the field and all that stuff. It looked spectacular. That's why we sent these two guys over here. They can give me the lowdown, and I'll ask those guys later on. But yeah, and I don't know how many times they ever talked about next year's Kansas State, Iowa State. I saw something maybe in one of the corners of the end zone of next year, K-State, Iowa State. But no, we watched a little bit of it. Yeah, great game. D. Scott?
6th season. You come jogging out of that tunnel for this first game of the season. What's going to be going through your mind?
One, how are my kids doing at K-Dub, because they play at night too. So that's the first thing, is how's he's doing. But then I take it all in, and I probably do a better job of that now than I did in year one, where I didn't know what was happening, but I take it all in. Whether it's I've got so much respect, and a lot of people know this, for Dr. Trace. I've got so much respect for what he does with the Pride, and I love our band. I love hearing it as they're coming in, the student section, because they'll be rolling in full force an hour before kickoff. Those things I never take for granted, and I always take in. I take them in better now than I did when I first got here. But just the pageantry of college football, and like to tell our new kids, hey, we're going to pull up in buses about 100 yards from the front of the stadium, and you're going to get to see what college football is all about. And they're like, what? And some of the older guys like, it's one of the coolest traditions that we started a few years ago with the walk, where we get out of those buses and the fans are there, young kids, families, the band. It's awesome, and that's what college football is about. That's what excites me. To your question, that's what I get excited about, is the pageantry of what college football is.